Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and here we are now with part 3 revisited. I know it's a bit mixed up, but we're going to get back on track after this video. So we've had part 1, we've had part 2, we've had part 2 revisited, then we had part 3, and then we had part 2 revisited B, and now we've got part 3 revisited. So I'm sorry, but it's a lot of work to go backwards and forwards, and with all the Stuka Sunday and everything else, I've got a lot of work on, so bear with me for now. Right, so when I left you in part 2B revisited, we got everything attached. I've since gone on and painted all my bolt heads silver, so that's all looking a bit better. Adds a bit of detail to it. I've also done all the cylinder heads and cam covers, as you can see. So that's all done with all the bolts, and you can see in there as well I've done the end of the plug caps red because that's what colour they are on a picture of an engine I've got. You will also notice in this one here, in the 1, 2, 3, the fourth one along from the left, you can see there's a piece of brass in there. The reason was, I don't know if it got broken off or what, but there's actually, you can see on that one on the end, there is a small sort of pip on there for the vinyl tube to go on, and on that one the pip was missing, so I sort of drilled it out and put a piece of brass rod in there, and I'm hoping the tube's going to go over it okay. So we just need to touch that one in, so I'll show you how I do that. I use this game colour paint, which is from Viejo, which is a water-based paint, and it's great for brush painting. Tamiya acrylics and LP paints and everything aren't so good for brush painting. I've got a tiny little brush here, so I'm just going to run around where I've made a bit of a mess on there. Just going to run around and get some red back on there before we get the cylinder head, cam cover, whatever, fitted back onto the engine. There we go, just so we don't see any brass. There we are. I mean, I don't really need to, but I can just put some over the end there so you can't see the brass. It looks better for you then. So there we are, so that's that all done, and then that little drop of paint there can get wiped off. As you can see, I used an upturned Tamiya jar, so that could get wiped off, and I've got it all over my fingers because the camera's on. So I'll get myself cleaned up and then I'll come straight back. Okay, so that's that done. Right, so as per the instructions, if you remember, I left these all flappy, didn't glue them in place, and as per the instructions now, we're going to glue these cam covers onto the top of the cylinder heads. So I know this is the right one, and then this piece goes at the bottom, so that is going to basically fit in there like that. So we've got 2 pins going into the cylinder heads, and then this plate is going to pop on like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is get some super glue. I'm using the Flexi 5K CA4PE. It's clear and it's like a semi gel. It's not as thick as a gel, but it's certainly not thin and runny. I'm going to need more than that, I think, so we'll just get a drop more on there. Just using a Pringles lid to dispense it. Is that water there? Yes, it is. So what I'm going to do first of all is just put a couple of drops in there just to sort of assist a bit. It's not going to do much because it's paint to paint, and I'm going to put a couple of drops here. You can see where I've removed the paint. Okay, so we've got a metal to metal joint there. And I think I'll also put a drop around that hole there. Okay, because we do actually have that pin there on the back of the cylinder head is going to go in. And then I'm going to put some glue around here. I'm going to put plenty of glue in here because we really don't want these falling off. I don't think they will for a minute, but I don't want to put glue around the outside edges because I don't want glue oozing out. I think I'm also going to put some more on there as well. So I've used all that glue just for one. I thought that was going to be enough for 2. Okay, so we can put that on there like that, and then what we can do is offer the cylinder head up, or the cam cover up. The cam boxes, should I say. So they're going to pop in like that, and then this on the back is going to pop in like that, and then I'm just going to leave that to dry. I think it'll stay there if I put it down on its side. I think what I'm going to do is grab, wrong drawer, I'm going to grab my G-Shock watch box, which has got rubber bands in it. I'm going to put a rubber band, so it doesn't need to be really pulled tight, just needs to hold it in place. I'm going to put a rubber band around there, and that'll hold that plate in. Okay, and then I'm going to put a rubber band around here to hold the cam box on. So we'll leave that to dry for 10 minutes, and then when we put the front plate on, that's going to help to hold the cylinder head on as well. So that's that into position. That's cool. Right, happy with that. No glue oozing out anywhere. So that should be that. So I'll leave that to dry for 10 minutes and then I'll be back. And we're back. So as you can see, in the meantime, I've done a bit of detail painting. We've got that pulley done, gone round the fan. I've actually gone round that with some oil wash. You can make your own. I will cover it in another video. I've covered it in lots of other videos. Basically, it's you can make your own with oil paint or enamel paint, and very, very heavily thinned. So you're basically making a dirty thinners. And as I say, I've covered it in lots of videos. I will cover it again in this series. If you want to see it, let me know. Okay, so there we go. So that just makes that sort of stand out a lot more than just having it painted silver. I've also gone over those with a little wash as well. I've got to do those unions there in silver. So as you can see, the engine here, we've got this cover just laid on the top, all painted now in our lovely yellow colour. So that's all good to go. So we can put the engine out of the way over there. So we're working now on stage 3 as we did before. I'm not using those vinyl tubes, as I said. I'm going to use this braided hosing, which I'll tell you all about now. And we're going to basically assemble all of this. Now, the part there, H14, going on the back of the alternator, I've actually filled the seam, sanded it out, replaced the nuts on the back with some hexagonal plastic rods. So that just looks a bit better there. Now on here we have this end cap that's going on the oil filter. So we've got that there. That's done in like a semi-gloss black. So I'm just going to put a tiny drop of super glue on those inner edges. We don't need much to hold this on. It basically stays there on its own. So I'm just going to put a tiny drop of super glue on there, and then we're going to plonk this in those holes just like so, and that will stay there. And that little tiny drop of super glue is enough to hold that in. So you can see we've got the different colour, so it just looks a bit more interesting. Let me get the light a bit better for you guys. There we go. So it's just a bit more interesting. Okay. Right, so we've got all these hose fittings go on the front here. You can see here we have, let me get rid of that. You can see here we have these hose fittings K14 and K13, or were they K13? I think they were K14 and K13. I've put a line through them. So you've got K13 is the bigger two, and then you've got K14 other side is the smaller ones. For the these are the TU4 hosing, which is about 2mm OD, and then this is the TU5 hosing, which is about 2.6mm OD, I think. So basically that's how that's going to go. Now I'm not going to fit those fittings yet. What I'm going to do is fit the hose. And for the hose I'm using this stuff here. Now this has come, I've actually emailed them and asked what else is available, because it doesn't look like they do this anymore, but they may, I could be wrong. But basically what we've got here is from a company called Prime Miniatures. You can see their address down there. primeminiatures.co.uk. They're based in the UK, obviously, and this is fiberglass braided cable. So as you can see, it's a braid. I can see the braid on there, but I can't see the cable. It could be that they've changed the name, I don't know, but it's quite rigid. But it does actually bend and not all kink up and everything, which is nice. I'm still going to put the aluminium metal in there because it will hold its shape better. But basically what I'm going to do is take these unions on here, the ends, and I'm going to put a drop of the super glue into here. Okay, I'm going to put a drop around the edge, and I'm using the VMS It looks like I'm putting loads in. I'm not. It's just that I don't have very much on the applicator. I'm going to put a drop in the bottom actually as well. There we go. I'm using the VMS Flexi 5K CA 4PE, and then we've got the end here, and you can see the end is slightly frayed, but if we kind of roll it in like that, okay, and then just twist it and hold it, it should stay in there. Once the glue grabs, it should stay in there. I'm expecting the doorbell to go at any time, guys, as some of you will be pleased to know and some of you will be not pleased to know the next lot of Hachette Lancaster parts is due. So you can see that's gone in there, and you can see how that looks so authentic. Now I know you look concerned about the colour, we'll cover that in a minute, but that looks lovely, doesn't it? So much better than a black vinyl tube. It's not really important on the front of the engine here, but when you do the rest of the stuff, I think it's going to make a hell of a difference, especially considering it's a 1/8 scale kit. I'm filming this now. It is Friday the 25th of October 2024. This is probably going to be the Saturday night video this week, which some of you will not be happy about. Sorry about that. And I'm just going to slot that piece of aluminium rod into there. And then we're going to grab something with a point on it. Here we go, there's something with a point, and just push that in a bit there, like that. And what I'm going to do on here is just dab the end of that in the super glue. And as you can see, this super glue, the reason I'm using this one is it's slightly thicker. If I use a thin glue, it'll just wick up the braid, and it will just make it all like a solid lump of plastic. It'll look awful. So what I'm doing is just using the thick on the end, and it's just to stop that fraying anymore. Okay, we can always just trim that a little bit off the end if we need to, but this is going into the back of the driver's firewall. So I'm not sure if it's going into a hole or if it's going over a pin. We can have a look at the minute at the instructions. I just want to put plenty on it because I want to make sure it doesn't keep fraying. So that can go back in that stand, and we can grab another one, and once again we can get some of this glue. We can run that round in there. I love the way they've designed this. This is so nice. It's just this, having this rather than having a pin with a hose going over the top, this is kind of designed exactly to do this. So the designer, whoever designed this kit, is obviously on the ball, because this has been designed, as I say, to do this. And as you can see, that looks so much more authentic than having a hose just pushed over a pin, because as we know, when the hose goes over a pin, it kind of, you kind of get that bulge on the end, don't you? In smaller applications, like on the spark plug leads and stuff and the fuel injection cables, it's not going to be possible to do it this way. I guess there could be a hole for you to put the pipe in. But there we go. And then the same on here. I need some more glue. Actually, I haven't put enough out again. I'm guilty of doing that all the time. So we're going to put that around like that. Okay, and then I can just hold this hose, and then just with my fingers just give it a little squeeze. Just pull it all down so it sort of stays the same diameter. It doesn't all fray out and stick out everywhere. There we go. How's that? There we go, that's lovely. So that can sit and dry. And then I'm going to do the same with the other two. So we've got the smaller ones here. I'll just show you one of them just to show you it does actually work. So we're going to put some glue in here. Make sure we got glue all the way around. We don't want one side glued, because then when we pull the pipe it will just pull out on an angle. And then this one hasn't frayed so much. We can just stick that one in there. And basically this is done by ID. This fiberglass stuff. So this is the 1mm ID. And here I'm using the, was it the 1.5 or the 2mm? I think it's the 2mm. It's the 2mm I've been using. Let me just check here. Yeah, it's the 2mm. So 2mm ID for those bigger ones, and the 1mm ID for the smaller ones. So TU5 is replaced with 2mm ID, that one there, and the TU4 is replaced with the 1mm ID, that one there. Okay, from Prime Miniatures. If I remember, I'll put the details down in the comments below, in the description down below. So here we go. Put some more glue in here. There we go. Like I say, I want to make sure it's all the way around, because otherwise, like I say, when you pull it, it'll come out on an angle. There we go. Give that a twist. Make sure the glue is evenly distributed. Check it's nice and square coming out of there. As you can see, so much better than black vinyl tubing. There we are. So that one's going to go that way, that one's going to go that way. You can see they're going to go on the front of the engine like that. Now the colours on here I've got from the internet, pictures of restored engines. Be careful of pictures of engines that have all the lovely bright blue and red Goodrich hosing, because that wasn't around in these days if you're building a replica or an accurate model from the 70s. I think my delivery might have just turned up. There we go, that's all in nice and solid. Right, so we'll let all that dry back, and then I'll come back and we'll get some paint on them, make them look more like stainless steel braided hoses. If you've noticed, I haven't fitted these ends onto these bottom ones because I don't think this tube's going to be very good for twisting. So I'll make sure I get them the right orientation and then just slot them in. So that's what I'm doing there. Okay. What I might do is use there is another VMS glue called Slow. I might use that one, and then we'll have the chance to twist them in their fittings. Right, I'll see you in a second. Okay, so looking at these hoses, you can see them here, the way they've bent them round and got them going over each other. I'm not sure if that's authentic, but I can't see why they would tell you to do it if that's not the way they've seen it on the real car. So basically we need to suss out where these, for Americans, we need to work out where these pipes are going to end up. So you can see here we've got the pipes sticking out the front of the engine. We've still got them sticking out there. We've got them sticking out here. And we come along and you can see they actually, it's worth noticing here, when you put the engine in, they stick out over that chassis tube there. So remember, when you put your engine in, they have to come through. So I was thinking, how far do they have to go over? So this is all the interior and floor, front suspension, and then we've got this here, this firewall. Okay, that's part E1. That's the bottom of the firewall anyway. And then we're coming on here, we're installing this firewall into here, and you can see these two holes. See these two holes here? They are where those tubes are going to go. So that's 21, yes, that's going that way up. And then we're coming along here, doing the rear suspension, and then lo and behold, we get to here. We have K15. We're putting another some of those unions on the end of those tubes, and then those pips there, K15, are going to go into those two holes there in that firewall. So we can't really see them here. In fact, I'm not even sure if they're going to be seen on the finished model, but just in case, we'll get them right. So what I've done, I've got the panel here. Let's get my rule out from underneath the manual. I need a bigger bench. So this is how that firewall is going to go in the car. So top, bottom, and then our engine is going to sit in that way round like that. Okay. So if we assume the engine is in the center, then this is 220 millimeters wide approximately. So the center of the engine, I'm going to put the engine upside down, okay, so that it's, otherwise it would face up. So the center of the engine is going to be like 110 millimeters in from the side. So there we go, the centre of the engine's about there. Over a touch. So you can see that these tubes need to line up with these two holes here, and we've got them roughly there. So that's good enough, I think. I also think they're going to be trimmed. Now, I'm just hoping they're long enough. I'm thinking they're going to be trimmed because I think this is probably going to go up against the firewall, so we're going to trim them down. What you may choose to do, if this isn't visible on the finished model, what you may choose to do is drill these out, drill out those K15s, push them over the tube, put those tubes through there, and then just slide them down. That might be the better option. We shall see. But that all depends on whether this area is visible inside the car. I don't think it is. I think that's inside where the fuel tanks go. But that might be the better option. These parts, they're very similar to these here, those K15s. So just drill them out so they slide right over. Slide them over, glue those into those drilled out holes, and then slide the tubes down to meet. I think that could be a good option. We'll have a go at that. So there we go. So we know we've got those roughly right. So if anything, I think they need to come out slightly further. So I think what we'll do is take them off of there. So I can show you how easy this is to do. You can just straighten that out and then just pull it out a bit more. And if we get it kinked, we just squeeze it and give it a pull, and it sort of pulls it back round again. I must admit, this braided hose is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to keep that like that. Okay, we're going to be playing with it anyway, but I'll keep it straight for now. And then this one is going to go under it, like so. So that's going to come. This is so fiddly. That's going to come under it there. Alright, so that's going to be fixed into the engine. So this one needs to also come out a bit. And also it needs to curl up a bit tighter. And now you can see where I put the wire inside. There's a dog outside having a bark. I do miss Jess. If she was here now, she'd be up at the window behind me. Giving it like that. I did love that girl. Okay, so there we go. So just loosen up those radii a bit. See how that's going to go. You can see it's just a case of playing with it, a bit of manipulation. And there we are. So I think we are basically there. So we can clip those into those holes in the engine, front cover, just like so. Just quickly do another test to put the engine upside down. Put it roughly in the middle. And there you go, you can see they're lining up lovely now on those holes. Okay, so I think that's good enough. So what we need to do now is paint these braided hoses to make them look more like braided stainless steel. And for that I'm going to use LP72 mica silver. I suppose I could spray them. But for this operation I'm going to brush paint them. I think we'll get a couple of these clips and put that in there. We could just put this paint on. This is the Tamiya LP mica silver. Just brush it on and you can see it soaks in. This is never going to be seen, I don't think, on the finished model. But hey ho. I think what I'll do is leave the end unpainted and do that later. I think this could do with thinning a bit as well, actually. But if we're going to experiment on anything, these are the ones to experiment on, because as I say, they're not going to be overly visible on the finished model. done the underside of that tube. I think that looks good. We'll just keep going. So what we could do is grab our Mr. Colour levelling thinners. We'll get a jar. We'll grab a pipette. And we'll put some levelling thinners in there, just a drop. Top back on the levelling thinners. And then we can put our brush in there. Drop a paint and just brush the thin paint. In fact, what we can do is put some paint in there and thin it out. So it's nice and thin. Not too thin, not enough silver. That works well. As you can see, because it's thin, it just soaks in. As you can see, guys, this is a learning curve for me as much as it may be for you. There we are. I think that looks pretty good, don't you? I'll get the others done and I'll be back. Right, so we've got these tubes and we're going to glue them in. So we've got the main ones here. Here are the two biggies. You can see I've got some of my VMS black thin glue because it has great penetrating properties. Who misses? So I'm going to put these together first. So that's going to go like that, just in case I can't get them to go together afterwards. I'm going to give that a squeeze to make it go round again because it's gone out of shape. I'll also give that a pull. And believe it or not, that paint is kind of hardened and helps to keep it all in one piece. It's cool. Right, so that's gone over like that. So this is looking absolutely stunning, guys, isn't it? That looks absolutely amazing. Let me get the other light on for you. There we go. That looks bloody great, even if I say so myself. Right, so what I'm gonna do here, I think what I'll do is get my radius blade and I'm gonna scratch some paint off there, and I'm gonna scratch some paint off here, just so we get a plastic to plastic joint. There's nothing worse for super glue parts than coming along at a later date and finding you've got the parts have come apart because the super glue is literally just glued to the paint and it's just basically pulled the paint off. So there we are. It always amazes me with cars when they do this vinyl wrapping and they rip the wrapping off. It never pulls the paint off. You think, how on earth has that paint adhered so well to that body? So that's the top one. So I'll put the bottom one in first, I think. Look at that, they do not want to go. Now they've got glue on there, look, they're going to play silly buggers. Bloody things. Right. They were going fine earlier on. So we'll put the top one in first. Oh look, isn't it? Bless you so much. Just awkward, awkward, awkward now that we've got glue in there. And then this one is going to hook over there. Oh dear, dear, dear. And that's going to go into that hole there. So what I don't want to do is clamp them back, because I want them to stay like that. I don't want them to be clamped against the engine like that, because that, as you can see, that takes them away from there. I want them to be up like that. So what I'm tempted to do now pull that one up a touch because it's pulling itself back. Okay, so that is actually needs to bend up a bit so I can get some more movement and get that flatter against the engine. There we are. I think that's right, like that. What I want to do, I'm going to have to be quick here. I want to put some of this glue in there, and then with a cotton bud just mop off the excess quickly. Put that up like that. Right, I'm going to get some in there. Now what I'm going to do is clean off my some in like that, let that go into that joint, go on, go down in, capillary in, capillary in, capillary in, pull, 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 go, 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 and then just wipe that off of there, and I should be able to pull these pipes up. And just wipe away the excess like that. Okay, so that should be good. I'm just going to leave those there like that, and I'm going to put some glue, some super glue into those pins so that can wick itself in as well under capillary action. I'm going to pinch the end of this cotton bud so it's like a sharp edge on it, and then get into that corner there and mop up that bit of excess and get into there. As I say, a lot of this won't be seen anyway, but we build for fun, so we make fun by doing stuff like this. If we didn't want to do this, we'd just go and buy a die cast, wouldn't we? I've got glue all over my fingers now because I put my fingers on the back because I'm a dullard. There we are. Right. So that's those on, and I think you'll agree they look bloody lovely. That's going to have to be manipulated after the glue's dry. And then we've got these going on the front. So I've got one there and I've got one there. Notice I haven't painted the ends because I don't want the glue to be affected. I don't want the paint to be affected by the glue. So what I'll do is glue them in first. So that one's going that way, that one's going that way. So that one can go on that side, that one can go on that side. So what I'm going to do here, these are going to drop into that slot in there. Oh, they fit lovely. Right, so what I'm going to do here is put some glue in there. I should have scraped some paint away, but the beauty is with this VMS stuff, it does actually attack and melt the paint. So what we can do, just to give it half a fighting chance, is scrape some paint away from there. So that's going to go in there like that. Okay, and then on this side, because we remembered, we'll scrape some glue away from, some paint away from here, scrape some paint away from there, we'll put some glue in here, just like that, and then we'll drop this one in, just like that, he says. Cotton bud, mop over the surface, there we are. And again, we can leave those to dry, and I've got bloody super glue on there, haven't I? Dullard. Okay, so we can leave those to dry, let the glue go hard. I think what we'll do is put a drop on the back and let that wick in, like so. That'll make those really strong. Just like that. And there we are. So that's how that's looking. and then we'll have these bits here going on the ends, on the end of that pipe, like so, and these are actually going to be down mounted on the front of here. So it's all good. Right, we'll let those dry, and I think what I'm going to do, guys, is go and have a shower, because I can. Some overspray down in there from where I sprayed those yellow bits. Right, those pipes are dried and those are solid already. Leave those to dry for half an hour and then we'll come back. Okay, we're back. Didn't get a shower, too busy watching bloody garbage on the internet. So anyway, I fitted that belt on there after that pulley went on. And as you can see, I've glued these pipes on here. I'm going to paint them after, because what I've realised is this paint makes these pipes quite rigid. So what you need to do is either paint them after you're all done, or just hold the pipe and then just flex it about a bit, and it kind of cracks the paint up, if you like, and it separates out. But what's nice, because it's LP, you know, the Tamiya XF16, whatever it is, aluminium, all kind of goes grainy, the same as the metal paints from Mr. Hobby do. But I'm finding this stuff doesn't go grainy at all. There's no flecks of metal anywhere, and you can see the pipe still flexing about. So that's good. Right, so looking at the instructions here, you can see we've got these instructions 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're telling us the order to do things in. So the first thing we need to do is stick these intakes into that cover there. So basically, we've got left and right. So I'm going to get all this here out of the way. Okay, so we've got left and right. Now make sure you know which is left and right. The fan is set forward. Okay, so when you're looking at the engine, right, left. So this is the left. This has got an L on it, so this is going to go into this side. Okay, and we have the holes lined up. Now I'm not sure, I don't think, no, you can't put it together wrong, so that's good. Right, so what we're going to do is just put a few little drops. I'll put a drop there on the back of that pin there. I don't want it oozing up past the intake, so I'm not sure if any of this can be seen on the finished model. I don't think it can. Okay, so we'll just put some glue on there on those flat bits, and then just double check that is the left. Just double checking, yes, we're on the left. Whoopsie daisy, that wasn't supposed to happen. And then just going to drop that onto there like so, push it down, let those pins go into the holes, and that's that glued on. Okay, and then we'll do the same on the other side. Now I have already test fitted these, and I have removed metal, or sorry, paint, to expose the metal on the on the intakes. So we're going to put a drop of glue on these flat areas here so we can keep it away from the holes, so it doesn't all ooze up and out. Put some on there. I'm not really sure how much this needs to be glued on, to be honest. It's not like you're going to be picking the model up and turning it upside down, is it? Okay, so they've gone on there. So you can see with those painted silver, they look bloody lovely. So this is now going to drop down on here. And I'm thinking that all lines up lovely. Does it need gluing, is what I'm thinking. What's that caught on? That is caught on that edge. There we go. So that side hasn't gone in yet. There we go. It's going in, so it clicks in. I don't need to glue that. That's in there. That's not going anywhere. So they are going to push down onto the engine, and then this cover is going to push down onto them. Okay, so that is not going anywhere. So I don't think we need to worry about gluing that in. I'm just looking, it's kind of, obviously if we get these out of flat, then the top of the engine is not going to sit flat. yes, it does need gluing. It's going to need gluing and clamping because it's springing back up. So what we'll do, we'll lift these up, we'll get these out of here. Okay, so they can stay glued to there. Alright. And what we will do is grab a couple of pegs, check they're clean. Just clamp that one there. Clamp that one there. And grab another couple of pegs. And we'll clamp that on there. And clamp that one on there. And just let them do their thing. Back in a sec. We're back. So, spinny spin spin. So we need to get this glued down. So I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to use this direct from the bottle. I'm going to put some of this super glue 4PE directly on each one of these. If you notice, I'm rubbing it into the bore as well, because then hopefully when it's on the engine the glue will run down, because I'm thinking that a lot of this will probably get pushed off. Let's put some on the other side as well. Just like so. I want to make sure this is on nice and tight, because what I don't want to do is find at the end of the day that I can't actually fit the top cover underneath the framework. So that's going to slide in under there, that's going to slide in under there. Right, so that's all gone down. So that side's gone down, that side hasn't yet. So that'll go in like that. There we go. So that's all gone in. Right, what I want to do now is somehow clamp this down. Now I've got these clamps here, and these are from a company called Rebel Hobby in Sweden. I know a million people are going to ask where these clamps come from. Yeah, Rebel Hobby in Sweden. These come from. Oh, stay open. Okay, so I'm going to clamp that down like that. And then on this side, I'm going to clamp that down like that. Okay, so they are down nice and solid. I can see all the way down at the back one seems to be okay, but I'm just going to give it a little nip just to give it a helping hand. Just go on there and clamp it onto the exhaust just to hold it and stop it sort of lifting up really. So I'm kind of hoping that's all going to stay down nicely. Okay, so that's going to have to be dealt with after. That's lifting there. So I think what we'll do is we can put some glue in there after and clean it off, because that doesn't look too good if it's all lifted there. But I know you're going to write to me and tell me that you can't see any of it anyway. I don't care. I want to build it right. It's not building it to what you can and can't see. So there we go. I'm going to leave that like that. Let that dry. Let that super glue dry out. And then we can look about getting the front cover on. Because we've done one. We've done two is over here. That's gone on. And now we've got to put that front on. And then last of all, we've got to fit the fuel pump up onto the top of the engine. So, and that will conclude this video. And we've completed the front 3 pages of the build. Right. And then next, after that, we're going to be looking at these intakes and fitting the distributor caps. So that's going to be all painting and everything. So that's probably going to be straight into a part 3 revisited B. because part 3 is massive. As you can see, part 3 is everything we've just done, plus what we're about to do, plus all of this, plus all of the ignition lines, plus all of the throttle linkage and the exhaust. That is all part 3, and then we see part 4. So you can imagine if I made part 3 as one video, it would be about 4 days long. There we go. Right, so I'm going to leave that to dry, as I've said a million times, and then I'll come back. That's all dry now, that's all done. So everything's good. We're going to glue this at the end. If I forget, please tell me. I'm going to glue that side down as well. We're just going to put a little drop of glue in there and just glue that down because it looks awful lifted up like that. Right, so this front cover needs to go on. This is part 3 of the instructions. I'm still, where am I? Here we are. So part 3 is fit this. So we're going to put this on the front here, and we have to line up the screw hole at the front. And as you can see, if I put one side in, I can't quite get the other side to pop in. So because this is plastic, it will bow. So what I'm going to do is try this. I'm going to put a cotton bud in the middle, which will lift it away, and then push. Is this going to work or not? I'm going to put what I'm trying to do is pull the plastic in as it goes down, and then I'll pull the cotton bud out. So it needs to go up slightly. What I don't want to do is go wrecking anything. I don't like using force, and here I'm having to use force. I really want this to just go in on its own. This is not good. Maybe fit this. Oh no, you can't. You have to put the cylinder heads in first. Be interested to see how they manage this on there, on the Pocher video. I'm probably scratching all that lovely silver paint off those bolts on the end of the gearbox now, or the transaxle, should I say? Oh, I think that's going in. Hang on. Yeah, it's gone in because the other side's come out. Oh, this is going to be awkward. I can't get to those screws to loosen off those cam covers. So what are we going to do? God, blimey. Hold that side down. Yeah, this is awkward. So if we slide that into there. It'd be useful if we had a screw or something there to hold it in. What I'm trying to do is bend this so that it goes in, because I don't want to scratch all the paint up. But I think what we're going to have to do is start sanding stuff to get it to go in, because I don't think it's going to want to go in there. Awkward. So I'll go in like that, lovely, and then I've got this problem on this side. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn the camera off, because I know that as soon as I turn the camera off, it'll just fall in. It'll go in, it'll just fall in on its own. Watch this. See? I told you, it's always the same. It's crazy. As soon as I turn the camera off, that just popped in. What I did was just push the bottom in first, and then the top went in. So there we go. So we're going to grab this screw. I think it's an F screw, wasn't it, for memory? Yeah, God, I've got a good memory for a man of my age. So we're going to put that F screw in there. Pull that back. There we go. I don't think we need any glue in there, do we, guys? You can see how bowed out that is. Blimey, that's no good. Something needs to be done here. That's not right. You can see here we've got it all bowed out. It obviously hasn't gone over that lug where the screw goes in properly. So we'll take the screw out, and then we should be able to eye it up. I think it actually needs to come down. Yes, it does. So yeah, wow, it just wants to fight itself all the time. Let's get the screw properly on here. Dear, dear, dear. I hate having to force things. I really hate it. But when everything's nicely painted, you know, sometimes you just have to. So hold that in there, pull that screw in. And there we go. So that's gone on. That's all good. It's not gone back flush against the engine though, has it? There we go, it went then. I think there's a pin on there or something that had to line up and it didn't quite line up. Yeah, it's gone in now. But it's pivoting around that screw. Let me just really crunch the screw in there. I think that'll do us. And then they are going to fit on there. Hopefully. That's beautiful. Those pipes are a lovely length. He says that this one, yes it is. Look at that. Those pipes are perfect. So Pocher got that very right. Well done. If you can get something very right. So there we are. So that belt's going to keep getting knocked off. Although when it's in the car, I don't think it will. So I won't bother putting any glue on it. So the next thing to do now is to fit the fuel pump, which is going to glue directly onto here. So I've put the pulley on. That's just a press fit. Remember I put that plastic card in there. So that's going to go down over that tab. So what we need to do here is grab some of our VMS Flexi 5K 4PE and I'm going to scrape some paint from here to expose metal. There we go. And then I'm going to put Flexi 5K along there and in that slot. Just like so. What I'm doing is I'm trying to think of a way to make that front go on easier, and I don't think there is a way, because you have to fit the cylinder heads first. So that's just going to sit on there. Now what we can do now is just lift it. Oh, blimey, it's started to go already. Make sure it stays nice and square and flat on that surface. So there we are, so that's our fuel pump on. And as you can see, with the additional bit of painting and that, it's just all looking fantastic. Looking lovely. Really pleased with this. Not really over the moon with how this front cover's gone on, but I may investigate. There's no reason why this can't come off again. The fuel pump's not in the way. I'm not over the moon with how that's gone on. I can see more overspray on there as well. You get a little bit of Tamiya thinners on there and just go over that and just clean it up. But I really wanted that front cover to sit back flush and it's not. And I don't know why. It's sort of pivoting around that screw. Let me get my larger screwdriver. Maybe that screw will go in a bit more. It is, it's really going in tight. That's better. That's amazing. That's because I didn't tap that hole up. If you remember, I don't think I tapped that hole. I just let the do it how Pocher designed it, and that's why I tap my holes, because it's so tight to get in. But it's gone back now. Brilliant. Right. So now these need to go on. So I'm going to put a drop, in fact I'm going to scrape, let's see how that goes on there. Yes, we've just got an area around the pin, so I'm just going to scrape some paint from there to get back to the metal. And then I'm going to grab some more of my VMS 5K 4PE. going to put a drop around this pin. That'll run around that pin. Lovely, just like so. And then I'm going to take this drive unit, I think this is a scavenge, and that can go on there. I'm just going to hold that in place. See if it stays. I'm guessing that's how it goes. This outer edge is all flush, that's the thing to look for. I'm assuming that's how it goes. Yeah, this outer edge is flush, same as this one here, look. So that's good. Still got a little bit of movement in it. And then we'll do the same on this side. So we're going to have to repaint those bolts on the end of the transaxle. But we'll do that after we've done everything else, because basically, just blow that debris off of there. There we go. And then that could go on there like that. We just hold that down. Hold that one down. Right, so that's all good. I'm just going to grab a pair of tweezers, because that pipe is sort of kinked going into that hole. I'm just going to pull it around. There we are, that's better. There we go, so that's that glued in there. What we've got to do now, if that fuel pump's on, we can fit this belt on here. So that belt's going to go on. That's our fuel pump drive belt. That would be a toothed belt in reality, because the fuel pump is timed. That's being driven off the end of that camshaft. The camshaft is being driven off of gears, which are driven off the crankshaft, so everything stays perfectly in time for its 24-hour race. These cars are amazing. They had a bloody synchromesh gearbox for driver comfort. Absolutely incredible car. Right, next thing, you know what we're going to do next, don't you? I'm going to use this time, I'm going to use sparkling silver. Just give it a gentle shake so we get the thin stuff off the top. Okay, this is LP48. I'm going to grab a paintbrush. Okay, so we've got the thin paint off the top. I'm going to paint this oil pipe. This braided hose, so that it looks like braided hose rather than a piece of fiberglass insulation for cables. That's what it is. All the way along here with this, and then once this is dry, I think I'm going to give it a wash to highlight the braided cable. I didn't want to give it a wash before this because the oil wash would have affected the super glue gluing the pipes in, and I didn't want to mess that up. So there we go. There we are, that's those painted. So we'll give the brush a clean. I'm really happy with how this is coming out. That looks bloody awesome, guys, doesn't it? That looks great. Really pleased with that. Just shows what you can do. A little bit of painting, or you can just build out of the box and it'll look bloody brilliant. As I say, all of this, when it's up against that bulkhead, you're not going to see any of it anyway. But it does look nice for the video, doesn't it? Hey, that's what's the main thing. That's the main thing. Looks nice for the video cameras. So, what we're going to do now is grab... I've got to clean that brush, actually. So, I'm just going to clean this brush and I'll come straight back. Okay, so I've grabbed a couple of my clamps. I'm going to use my knife now. I'm going to get some of this VMS 4PE on here, and I'm going to slide the knife into that gap. Just get some more. Knives are a fantastic way of applying PE, guys, because they'll get into the tightest of spots. I'm just going to rub that off of there, and then I can grab one of my clamps and just give that a little clamp down. It doesn't need any pressure, it's just to hold it. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. Get some of this glue into here, into that gap, and then with a cotton bud just go over and remove the excess, and then open up the clamp a bit, and then just pull it down, just nipping it. It's just like putting a budgerigar on there, just enough just to hold it in place while the glue dries. And there we go. Back in a minute. Okay guys, that's it, all done. So we've they're all glued down on the back now. I've gone in and got rid of that overspray on those covers, so that's all good. And now just one final thing I want to do. If you remember, I made these shafts connected because I stripped the thread out of one of the screws, or the screw wasn't long enough, or whatever it was. So here we go. So bit of Tamiya thread lock. I'm going to put this in the hole. There we go. That's plenty. That's more than enough. Get off. Now the problem is this Tamiya thread lock, as soon as you start it, it just doesn't want to stop coming out. So do that, and I'm just going to wipe this excess off on a cotton bud. Okay, so that'll go in there. And then we can put this in. Make sure we've got the right way around. The triangular side goes on the right, and the round side goes on the left, so we can screw that into there. Okay, and we can just screw that in all the way. Just like so. And then when we feel they're solid, I'm just going to come back a touch so they just turn. Now I'm not sure if they're designed to turn or not. There's no mention of it in the instructions. I don't think they are. I think they're supposed to be solid. But I'm just going to leave those like that. Okay, and they're turning lovely and freely. That thread lock's working already. So now they won't come undone. So there we are, guys. There is stage... Sorry, I shouldn't say guys, should I, in this day and age? You're not allowed to, apparently. So that is step 3A completed. As I say, step 3 is huge. So now we've done all of this. So then the next video is going to be starting on this. We've got the distributors going together. We've got the bodies. No doubt that's going to need painting. We've got the throttle bodies there. They're going to need painting as well, because I've got a feeling they're fiberglass. Or are they magnesium? I can't remember now. And then we're going to be wiring it. So that's probably going to be part 3B. There probably won't be a part 3B revisited. This is part 3B revisited, isn't it? No, this is part 3 revisited. There probably won't be a part 3B revisited. There will be a part 3B. And then at some point we'll get on and get this done. This is going to need a lot of painting, I think. But we've got a spring, we've got the throttle linkage and all that going across. It's going to look gorgeous. It's going to look absolutely gorgeous. So there we are. Right. So just to give you one final look of how it all looks. I'm still not fitting this gear linkage because it's so vulnerable and will get snapped off. Why is that cap there? The cap came off as I pushed it in. That's not good, is it? You probably saw that happen and you were probably shouting at me on the camera. Right, so that's going to go into there. That's going to go into there. I'm not going to glue this yet because, again, It's going to be a bit vulnerable. There we are, they're pressed together on that brass rod. I've got to paint these blocks at the end because I don't want them showing up. But there we are. So that is how, if you follow along with me, that is how your model will look like. Now, if you haven't followed along with me, it will look very, very similar. So there we go. Really, really pleased with this. Very, very happy indeed. She's a stunner. She's beautiful. And she's mine. All mine. There we go. Right. See you all soon, in the week, next week, whatever, for part 3B. I may start doing 2 videos a week, we shall see. But only on this bit. But then I say that, I've got so much on, guys. I can't keep up with it. It's Friday night now, and you know, I'm doing this for Saturday night, and now I've got to get on tomorrow morning with Snooker Sunday, and then before I know it, it's going to be World Woman Wednesday again. Right, see you soon. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe and hit the notification bell. It all helps towards keeping the channel going. Right, bye for now.